Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's Wimbledon 2023 review time, and we've got Gill Gross with us, as always, post Grand Slam, the man, the myth, the legend. Gill, how you doing?
I'm good, Faizan. Always great to be on with you.
Yeah, great to have you. Great to have you. I know a lot of people look forward to seeing you on the channel, so this one's for you guys as well, for sure. Let's start off then with the ATP because the final was incredible. Alcaraz, of course, making some history of his own, winning his second Grand Slam and stopping Djokovic from winning his 24th Slam, his fifth straight Wimbledon, his eighth Wimbledon title overall. And after going into it with what barely any real grass court experience, apart from that Queens win this year, he went on, of course, to win it as well, which is even more impressive. Let's start off then with the final. Gil, how impressed were you with one against the final, generally speaking? And what do you think Alcaraz did to disrupt Djokovic's game, and how do you end up beating him, do you think?
I mean, I was very impressed with the final. I don't think that it was like a sustained great level, both sides, epic quality kind of thing. But the drama of it, the twists and turns were great. And I really enjoyed the fifth set. I think the fifth set was a great set of tennis. I think both players really brought it for the most part. And we saw a lot of different things happening in the fifth. I mean, every Alcaraz service game when he went up the break, except the one where he hit four unreturned serves, was actually, getting pretty interesting. And he kept coming up with great stuff to kind of fend off Novak trying to get that break back. So I love that. What did Alcaraz do to disrupt Djokovic? My answer to this is maybe a little bit lame for this match, but I think everything. Because when I looked at the body of work and I wanted to kind of get into. Now, I can tell you the adjustment Alcaraz made, and that's a little different. I think the adjustment he made was he started absorbing, he started staying solid, and kind of not letting Novak force errors with his linear pace and his depth. And he just started protecting his forehand wing and kind of recognizing when to play a rally ball instead of when to try to build and kind of inject some risk and some offense into his ball. So that's the adjustment I think he made. But in terms of like what he brought to the table, I mean, I just think you kind of look across the board. The serve was huge at points. The return was huge throughout. The backhand had tons of moments, especially in the first half of the match. The forehand had many moments. The drop shot came alive in the fifth. Some of the volleys he came up with were also spectacular. So I think what was so special about the performance is just how much he did well.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really interesting because Djokovic only served two aces in the final, which is just incredible considering he was averaging 11. We know how good his serve is nowadays, and the fact that Alcaraz managed to neutralize that pretty much the whole time was really incredible. Um, yeah, the drop shot, of course, came into play. It was weird because that first set, it looked like he was just asleep. And I know a lot of people, when I was doing the commentary for it, were saying he looked nervous. I just thought it was a case of he just wasn't playing well. It's just one of those moments where he came out and he just took a while to get going. I felt like he wasn't really timing the ball very well. He was a little bit cautious maybe in the way he was playing. But you make a really good point about the rally ball because when I was watching as well, one of the things I noticed a lot was he knew when to get on the offense and step in and hit flatter or bigger. But then, especially on the forehand side, I found that he hit a lot of balls with quite a lot of height and spin, especially into the backhand corner of Djokovic. Almost to say, like, you know what? I know the kick serve might do a little bit of damage to your backhand side on return. So why don't I try and make you feel a bit uncomfortable on that side as well? And you wouldn't think it would work, but Djokovic, did wasn't no, it wasn't him winners with that shot, Alcaraz, but he wasn't able to hurt Alcaraz in those moments. And I think that was really impressive. And he came forward a lot of times to that as well with depth. And his net game was good. But also, what was intriguing was I thought he would have to come in a lot more than he did to win because I thought, he needs to almost rush the net as much as possible. He's got great hands and good transition game. But he came in, I think, almost half the amount of times that Djokovic did. And he actually managed to boss him in periods from the baseline, which I didn't think would happen as much as it did, which was I think really, really impressive. But yeah, incredible final, for sure. And of course, the 26-minute game was incredible to watch as well. I mean, I don't remember the last time I saw a game like that.
No, not off the top of my head. It happens all the time where you say, "Wow, gee, this game is 10 minutes long," and that's when you start to realize, like, I think at the 10 minute mark, you start to say, "Oh, this game isn't ending," and it goes, double that plus 6 minutes.
Is yeah, incredible, absolutely incredible. Do you think like a lot of people were talking about the turning point in the final, and was there a turning point? As a lot of people were saying it was that game, or the tiebreaker because Novak had won. I think it was 15 straight tiebreakers, and then obviously lost this one. He had set points. Alcaraz turned it around, won it in the end, and that was a big, big moment you felt as well. But of course, he won the full set, Djokovic. So it's not like he didn't have any success after. But yeah, did you feel like there was a turning point, or was it just a final that ebbed and flowed, and eventually we just kind of came out with a victory for Alcaraz?
Yeah, I guess there were a few turning points. That's the thing about this match. I think there were multiple. I thought, obviously the second set tiebreak was the first inflection point, and Djokovic uh, doing really well to kind of pass Alcaraz twice in a row to earn set points, or sorry, set point. I shouldn't have made that plural. Then missing two backhands and then getting past himself on the serve and volley where he went out wide to Alcaraz's backhand. So that was the first, and then Alcaraz wins that third. At the start of the third set, Alcaraz comes through a bunch of close games and kind of strangles back all of the momentum. And then, in the fourth set, it swings back up until Love won, and now Novak has break point at up one Love, and he had broken Alcaraz's serve twice in a row. He had won, 5 out of the last 6 games in the match, so he really had all of the momentum up until that point, and that was another turning point.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that early breakpoint opportunity in that fifth set, where it was the first 3 games there were breakpoint opportunities for both players. I remember, and they all held, and then I think it was at 1-1 where Djokovic had the drive volley, which was a bit weird, like the wind as well. And I think a lot of people were saying, "Oh, so easy," and I was thinking it wasn't an easy shot. And I almost thought when watching it live, like, okay, Djokovic doesn't really like hitting the overhead. It wasn't an overhead, but it's still a tough drive volley going backwards, which at the time of watching, I thought, oh, it might even be out. But then I was like, actually, no, that's nowhere near going. I was going to come in,
For sure.
and then I was watching it thinking, why didn't he just let it bounce? Because I think he was just trying to take time away from Carlos, which makes sense, and that's what you would ideally do. But I was thinking, like, maybe just let it bounce because windy. He was struggling with it. He was clearly complaining about it throughout the match as well. What do you think? It was that, or was it just a case of what, execution just wasn't great? Tried the right thing, didn't work.
Well, I think when the ball first went in the air, he thought he was going to hit an overhead because you see him turn sideways. If you look at his footwork, it looks like he's about to hit an overhead. And then, at some point when the ball's in flight, he changes it to a swing volley. At that point, you can't really let it bounce because you're not going to be able to get back in time. Um, I just think he had a moment where two things came into play. Uh, the wind and his lack of confidence in hitting difficult overheads. And, he's got more confidence in the swing volley. So I think those two things made him play what I still think is the wrong shot. I'd be fascinated to see if Novak saw the replay of it, right? Because he knows how he felt in the moment on the court, but that doesn't necessarily, and we know what he said at the press conference that he felt like he had to play a swing volley because of the wind. But I'm curious if he saw it and watched himself, what he would think of it. I would guess, he would watch it and just be like, look, that is an overhead. That would have been the best way to play it because, if you're moving backwards, it's actually easier to hit an overhead. just based on where the contact point is, right? You don't need to get your feet as far back if you think about it, the distance of that your feet need to travel backwards. If the ball is moving backwards further than you think, the overhead is going to allow you to actually cover less ground. If you need to get all the way back for a drive volley where your contact point is lower, and you have to hit it kind of out in front a little bit, or to, at your right shoulder instead of over your head, you actually have to get back further. So to me, it was just not the right shot. And it's one of the first times in Novak's career where we can actually look to the overhead issue and talk about it potentially costing him the match.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it's weird because that's the one part of his game which you kind of think, oh, maybe perceived weakness, but it hasn't really shown up, as you said, like in big moments and been a massive issue. But it was intriguing. The win, I mean, well, a couple more points in the final, we'll move on. But the win, the conditions, do you think that played a big factor? Because a lot of people were saying if the roof was on, Novak would have had a massive advantage in comparison to obviously it being open and the windy conditions, which they thought maybe Alcaraz would play better with the elements. Not necessarily that he'd be the favorite, but he'd have more of a chance. And in my opinion, Novak's the best indoor player to kind of ever play. So, what was your thoughts? So, obviously, it's grass, not indoor hardcourt. Did you think
Yeah.
that was a factor at all?
I did. I did. I think Alcaraz, from what I've seen, I've watched Novak obviously for such a long time that I know that he isn't always the best with dealing with wind. Um, I just think there's something about his footwork, and especially I've noticed over the last two majors with Roland Garros, which was windy the whole time, that usually if he's hitting against the wind, he's totally comfortable, totally fine. But with the wind, he's lost some confidence and he's had some footwork issues, which happened in this final for sure. Alcaraz, of course, played that the first thing you think about when it comes to winning Alcaraz is that amazing match against Nadal at Indian Wells, where at a time where we didn't realize that Alcaraz was ready to do such a thing, he almost beat Rafa, and it was actually a kind of an eye-opening moment where it's like, whoa, he's really really good already. I think everybody knew that he was on his way to becoming really really good. But I think since then he's continued to show that uh, his footwork and his power, his heavy ball, really does a great job of cutting through the wind, dealing with the wind. Maybe it affected Alcaraz early on negatively when he was just going for a lot and playing some low percentage balls. But ultimately, it seemed like there were more moments where Novak was pulling off of his shots on the side, on the near baseline when he was playing with the wind opposite the royal box, where it never really looked like Alcaraz was having issues finding his proper contact point.
Yeah, 100%. I thought Djokovic's forehand was definitely not as good as it normally is, and maybe that's partly down to how Alcaraz was playing and the conditions. But um, yeah, it was interesting because he normally is so good, especially behind the serve and with it, but he made a lot more mistakes than I would normally see from him on that side. And there's a couple of sets or a set where, I mean, his unforced error count was like almost double the amount of his winner count. And it was like, whoa, don't normally see that from Novak. So that was weird. But obviously, he recovered at least to make the fifth set, and it was a tight one as well. And he knew it, which is why he got so frustrated with the smashing of the racket as well, which I can understand why. Um, is this the passing of the torch then? Do you think? Is this now finally in motion? Do you think, Gil?
Well, in motion is different than passing torch, right?
You
Passing
tell me which
torch,
one.
passing torch is like a one-time thing. Torch has been passed. So I actually think we don't really know.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Likely not. Likely it's not a passing of the torch. Likely Novak is still going to have a lot of moments in the next couple of years. And if he does, then it wasn't a passing of the torch. It was just one singular. It was really okay. I won't say one singular, but it was the first time we see Alcaraz conquer Djokovic in a big major final. But no, I think Novak still has moments in the future. Alcaraz, though, I mean, What it is a monumental result because it's a result that we have not seen, uh, or that we've barely seen. We've only
Yeah.
seen it once in the last 18 years. And
Yeah.
I think the big three era, and I'll still say that we're in the big three era, has lasted 18 years. If you start at 2005, which I think is a good place to start it, um, because Novak and Rafa kind of come into play. I mean, they're babies, but Rafa's winning on clay already. So since then, only Del Potro has been a player who's under 23 years old, and he was 21 at the time at the 2009 US Open, and he beats a member of the Big Three in a final. And that's the only time we've seen it. I mean, how
Yeah.
remarkable is that? 18 years. So Alcaraz gets that result that we basically just haven't seen, and he does it in a fifth set against Djokovic at Wimbledon. Those things are all very, very hard to do in their own right.
Yeah, I think that's why people are discussing it because you said it was clutch, and also the records. I mean, it's the first time anyone outside of the big four, if you want to include Murray in it, has won Wimbledon since 2002 when Hewitt won it. So, I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous to think about. Like how dominant they've been at Wimbledon is unreal. So Alcaraz doing that is just yeah, pretty impressive. Third youngest winner as well at Wimbledon after Borg and Becker. So I have to say, like, it's definitely a moment, as you say, in history. Whether it's the passing of the torch moment, I'm not sure, but Djokovic is definitely going to be there or thereabouts. I got a bit greedy as soon as I watched the final. I was thinking, I really want to see this at the US Open, but that's a while to come yet, so we'll see. So let's move on from Novak and Carlos because there's a lot to discuss there. I think we've got through quite a bit of it, but uh, apart from those two players, like who were you most impressed with at Wimbledon watching? Who did you think really had a standout tournament and impressed you with their level?
Probably Berrettini and Eubanks. Those were the two guys who kind of stood out and put in performances that were rather rather remarkable. Of course, for Berrettini, just didn't expect that kind of level with all the time that he's missed. And I mean, he came back in Stuttgart and got crushed by Sonego, and then drew him first round at Wimbledon, and was able to turn that one around. But then, in beating Zverev and beating De Minaur as well. I mean, those are amazing wins. Both of them, I think, are top 15 grass wins. So he was, he kind of, it's a statement too, because I mean, look, with Berrettini, it's been such a tough year. I think, there was a possibility that he was just kind of going to go away quietly to an extent. And this was, a very strong statement that that's not going to happen, because he really was playing great tennis. And then Eubanks, I mean, attacking tennis, great serving, great forehands, great net rushing, sets the Wimbledon record in winners, which is an awesome stat. Like, I just think that's such a cool thing. It's a cool feather in the cap of Chris Eubanks. And he also did it after winning his first career title, and to not have any hangover, not have any letdown, not get, fatigued. And again, it's not even as if his draw opened up. I mean, he had a lot of, he found a great win over Stefanos Tsitsipas and a great win over Cam Norrie. So those are the two guys.
Yeah, 100% agree. And he was very close as well in that match against Medvedev. Very close. He
Yes.
also had a good Wimbledon, making the semi-finals. He'd never made a quarterfinal, but that five setter, he was 2 sets to one up, and you're just thinking, oh, what's happening here? But that stat is great, isn't it? The winner stat, I think, because he plays such great attacking tennis and it doesn't always kind of come off. But on the grass, it looks like his game's really suited. And I know he was saying he really struggled with it at
Mm-hmm.
the start of the grass court swing this year, but got some advice from Kim Kleister, if I'm not mistaken, and yeah, ended up doing a lot better on it. Clearly, yeah, fantastic performance. And Berrettini, barely any match practice, as he said, obviously has an affinity to the grass, clearly, because he felt right at home after that tough match against Sonego. So good to see him back. Hopefully, he's fit for the US Open because, yeah, he should be there or thereabouts. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but the tour's definitely better for him for everyone else there anyway when he's on tour and playing and competing. In terms of who disappoints you the most on the ATP side, I mean, who maybe let you down a little bit?
Well, first of all, not a lot of players. The top guys did very well. I didn't keep track of the last stats of the exact stats, I should say, but when in my power rankings, I mean, almost nobody got upset, and everybody kind of held seed and all that, except Korda. So Sebastian Korda is the disappointment. He gets that award. I think his forehand was kind of a mess in that match. Now, Yuri Vesely is a really, really tough guy to play at Wimbledon. He has a long history of beating seeds at Wimbledon, and he himself has never been seeded. He's 7-5 in his career against seeds. So bad draw. But if you're saying at the start of the tournament that you think that you can win it, then you obviously are expected to get through a Yuri Vesely. And by the way, I think he probably learned from that, because it's if you can back it up, like if you can say that you're going to win and then you back it up, it's cool and I love it. And I think that that's awesome. But you also have to understand the delicacy of this sport is that when you put more pressure on yourself and you put that out into the universe, you are potentially going to sabotage your ability to play your best.
Yeah, 100%. The accept quarter was a massive disappointment to me. I had him going really deep as well. And it wasn't even because of the comments. It's just I just thought his game was really suited to it, and I've seen him in the past as well.
You
And
look great in Queens.
he did. He looked really good in Queens. And it was one of those things that when he said it, I was like, "Oh, that's a big statement." But you know what? He might have to do something. But as you say, you have to back it up and at least make a deep run if you're going to say that. So it was disappointing. I think. I wonder whether he put too much pressure on himself as well. It'll be intriguing to see what happens when he goes into the U.S. Open because, of course, he's from the U.S. as well. So I know a lot of the American players tend to feel it a little bit for that. I mean, other players as well. I mean, were you disappointed in terms of like Taylor Fritz? I thought he could have got. He obviously didn't match his performance from last year. Similarly, like Felix as well, another first round
Felix,
loss.
not as much.
Yeah,
Felix, not as much. I wasn't expecting much, but Fritz, yeah, he's up 2-0 against Michael Emer. I still haven't really. I don't understand what happened there. I didn't look. A lot's happening. First couple days of a slam, we had all the rain.
yeah,
I didn't get to watch that all that carefully. I saw portions of it, but I'm stunned at the result. I mean, I thought that the tricky one was going to be Hanfman in the first round,
yeah,
and he was able to get through that in a tight fifth set. And I was impressed because I knew that there was going to be a lot of demons there, and there was going to be a lot of pressure on Taylor because he struggled at the majors recently. So I wasn't surprised that that was a close match. But then I thought after you get through that, now the draw is pretty good, and you're going to be off to the races. And he's up 2-0 against Michael Emer, and doesn't get it done. And Emer is a good player. He actually moves really well on the grass. Great movement, but he doesn't have weapons. So I'm still surprised that Fritz, lost to Emer, especially in the manner that he did.
yeah. 100%, 100%. Okay, should we move on to the WTA side? Or anything
Yeah,
on the
let's do
ATP
it.
you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Cool. Okay. Well, we're going to start off with the final. A surprise winner, I think. It's fair to say the first unseeded woman to win Wimbledon in the Open era, Vondrousova. I mean, how impressed were you with her game? And we'll comment on Jabeur because there's something to obviously touch upon there. But let's stick to the winner first. I mean, how
Okay.
impressed were you with her performance, generally speaking? And obviously, I'm assuming a big surprise to you as well.
Yes, surprised, but also, you have to be careful when it comes to, players who show flashes of the highest level of tennis and who get injured a lot. You never know when they're going to pop up and surprise you. And we saw that at Roland Garros with Karolina Muchova, who, didn't take that last step and win the trophy, but she came really, really close. Um, you know, I think very, very similar story in Vondrousova. I think the draw was quite nice for her. Vekic, Bushkova, um, Pagula in the semis, and then Svitolina before the final against Jabeur. um, it wasn't a murderer's row like Jabeur had to go through to get to the final, which is interesting. But ultimately, she's got like a really crafty game. I love her backhand for grass. She's a phenomenal defender. Great slice defense, which is really helpful on grass. Lefty, slice serve, that'll also play, of course. So, she's got a lot there. And I, it's surprising. There's no way around it that it's surprising, but it makes a lot more sense than, I don't know, Raducanu winning the US Open.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, she'd made a final, albeit on clay in
Clay,
2019. Yeah,
two
against
and
Ash
10
Barty.
record on grass
Yeah,
coming
which is
into
crazy.
Wimbledon.
I know.
Yeah,
She's it's just absolutely ridiculous, right, to think about. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that she managed to adapt to the surface and make a run is really impressive. Yeah, for sure. And look, she's now in the top 10 as well, and I think her game is actually more suited to other surfaces potentially. So I'm intrigued to see how she gets on, and hopefully she stays fit. But and there's so many incredible players in the Czech Republic. Talking about Mukova in the French Open final, they got Kuchikova, Kvitova. I mean, the list, Pliskova, the list is like almost endless. It's incredible uh, how many incredible players they have from there. And it's such a small country as well in comparison to some others. So
it's amazing.
impressive stuff. Yeah, very amazing. On Jabeur, then we're going to talk about her. I mean, she was looking to make history again. And as you said, her run was very tough. She had to beat four Grand Slam champions back to back. Did so, which was incredible. Andreescu, then what was it? Andreescu, then Rybakina, Sabalenka, and I missed one. Kvitova was obviously in between. So no,
Yeah.
sorry, Andreescu, Kvitova, Rybakina, Sabalenka,
Yep.
and beating two, in my opinion anyway, two of the favourites in Rybakina and Sabalenka. They would like. If someone asked me before, I was saying Rybakina and Sabalenka. I picked Sabalenka to win actually as well. So yeah, it was off there, but I don't think anyone would have picked Vondrousova. If they did, then fair enough to them. But Ons Jabeur, like she played some really good tennis, and I think the biggest thing really was her mentality, like her fighting spirit. She kept coming back from a set down against Rebecca, and she lost a tiebreaker. She was serving for the set, came back, and then she was a set and a breakdown against Sabalenka, came back to win in 3 sets, and she played some incredible matches. And I was thinking if she had won the title, it would be one of the best runs I've seen in a while, because after beating two-time champion Kvitova so cleanly as well. Were you surprised at how poor the performance was in the final? Was it just the pressure? Because watching it, it just looked like, okay, her performance looked worlds apart from her previous four matches to the final. And it was it just that, again, it's a case of maybe a little bit of the jitters, the pressure building, Wimbledon knowing it's a really good chance for her. She's not getting any younger, a third final, and she was expected to win. And I almost felt like maybe against Rebecca and Sabalenka this year, she wasn't expected to win.
No.
And so she kind of came back, and maybe she played better as an underdog. But yeah, what were your thoughts on it? I guess the final and also her mentality as well, and how she played level wise.
Well, I thought she played very, very poorly. And I think tennis wise, right, taking the mental out of it, she was playing an opponent who is going to play great defense, make her generate pace, low slice, high loopy balls. She's going to get a lot of different looks. She's going to have to move her feet. She's going to have to, again, create off of some tricky stuff coming her way. I'll say some variety. But at the end of the day, she also was clearly a mental kind of a mental collapse when it comes to nerve management and negativity. She just got negative very, very early on. And I think it was for all of the reasons you mentioned. I think the match in her mind just got way, way too important. Became like a life or death thing because your life goal is to win a major, and when you're expected to do it against an unseeded opponent, and you're 27 years old, so you feel like you don't have that many more chances potentially, and especially when Wimbledon is the major where you feel like that's your best chance to do it. Because hard court is her worst surface. Clay, you have Iga. So it's got to kind of be Wimbledon. And all of those things just added to the pressure, and she very much folded in that crucible, I'll say.
Yeah, agreed. And I think it's a shame because she's made even three of the last five Slam finals, right? So Wimbledon last year, US Open as well. And as you say, hardcourt is yeah definitely her worst surface, but she's still good enough to make a final, which is like
Yeah.
impressive. But the problem
Yep.
is she has not only Swiatek to deal with there, but Rybakina, Sabalenka, and a lot of the other players as well because they on the WTA side, there's so many great players on hardcourt. So yeah, I agree that grass is a surface where there's not a huge amount of like incredibly like elite players on grass, and I think for her to come through in my opinion, the two hardest players to play on grass, are Sabalenka, Rebecca, and then to fall at the final hurdle was must have been really heartbreaking for her. And I think just watching as a neutral, very happy for Vondrousova for an incredible win, like great story as well. But I think at 24, you're just thinking she might have more chances and etc. But for Jabeur third final, you're just thinking, oh, okay. And it feels different to say Casper Ruud on the ATP side because he's lost to great players. Like he lost to Nadal and then he lost to Alcaraz. You know, okay, fine. Alcaraz first time final, but you feel like he's a generational talent and he's starting to show that now. Then Djokovic, right? She's lost to Rebecca last year, who going into it hadn't won a slam. She was a favourite. Swiatek, I could say fine, fair enough. US Open, she expected to lose that.
Yep.
She did decently well, like decent performance. But then this one was like, okay, this is a big one, like massive chance. So I feel like in your opinion, what do you think? What's your gut feeling telling you about whether she's going to win a slam or not? Is she going to win one by the end of her career? Do you think? I mean, it'd be a massive shame if she doesn't. But I did
Yeah.
a poll actually on my YouTube to ask people, like, okay, what do you think? Do you think she's not going to win one at all now? Do you think she's going to win one, or do you think she potentially is going to win more than one? And we've seen some players like Kim Clijsters. I think she lost her first four finals, and then she went on to win. Obviously, have like incredible career.
Yeah, but
But
how old was she?
she was younger. You're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was younger. I think. Yeah, but so these are results by the way. So 36% of people said no, 50% of people said she'd win one, 14% said she'd win multiple. So what's your thinking on that?
I'm gonna go with my gut, my cruel gut, because coming into the final, I had the same feeling. I said, man, she should win, but it's a lot of pressure, and I just don't know if she's gonna handle it.
Mm,
And I feel the same way now, where it's like she should win one, but I actually kind of don't think she will. Like the sport is just very, very cruel, and I don't know what else to say, because there needs to be again. I think it's getting much, much harder. Rybakina, Sabalenka, Iga, they're all young. They're all very, very young. What, 25? I think Sabalenka might be 25 and she's the
yeah,
oldest.
yeah,
Yeah. So it's hard because they're all playing great. I don't think any of them are gonna fall off. I mentioned that I think it's kind of got to be grass. And then she does need to figure out the mentality, and I do think some major adjustments need to be made. But I'm worried about her potentially not making them, because it is sometimes difficult to change those kinds of things. But I mean, I just think she needs to find a way to be more positive and try to enjoy herself on the court a little bit, because she's the minister of happiness, but I got to be honest, I think sometimes she looks like a little bit tortured out there.
yeah. No, I agree. She wasn't the minister of happiness in the final, that's for sure. She
No.
really wasn't. But yeah, I think I'm pretty optimistic. I'm hoping she's going to win one. But as you said, my guts kind of yeah maybe earing towards the side that it might not happen. But what I'm thinking is if she makes another final, the problem is it really does depend on who she comes up against. But I feel like she'll apply herself better. So don't know whether she'll win it, but I think it really depends on whether one she makes it, and then also who she plays against. I think she'll make at least one more final. I think
Yeah, I would hope that next time she's in a final, she just plays well, and then I think if
exactly.
she plays well, maybe she can live with that. Um, but again, even that, we're talking about a major final, so even if she plays well, it doesn't guarantee that she's going to win.
100% exactly. Look at Mukova and the French Open. She played
Yeah,
really well. He
yeah.
still managed to find a way to win. And talking of Iga, what do you think best chance to make a Wimbledon final and a title? Because her run, you're talking about Vondrousova's run, right? She was in that half, so Svitolina replaced her, beating her. But Swiatek's run, like when the draw came out, was like, whoa, she doesn't have Sabalenka or Rabakina or Jabeur in her draw. They're all in the bottom half. And the top half was like, okay, this is yours for the taking. Svitolina played some inspired tennis against her, understood, but was it an opportunity missed?
I don't think so because I think later in her career she's going to have a better chance to start to do well at this tournament once she develops certain things. I especially think the one thing I'm fairly confident it's going to get better is her serve. She's such a diligent worker and such a she's got such a good team around her, and she's very open minded about improving and very humble in that way, kind of like Rafa, in terms of just like feeling almost insufficient always, being a perfectionist and being like not having, it's almost a positive spin on insecurity. I think Iga has that, and I think it'll propel her to make some improvements on something like her serve, and that's going to give her a better chance to do well at Wimbledon later in her career. So I think right now it's never going to feel like that much of a missed opportunity at Wimbledon, especially because she did much better than she did last year. I mean, the Cornet match was very bad on her end, so she did have a run to the quarters, and I'm also a big fan of how Svitolina was playing.
Yeah, 100%. I think the serve is such a big thing that she needs to bulk it up. I think for Grass, no doubt, and
Yeah,
a little bit to it as well. But and also the net game, still looks a bit awkward.
yeah.
So, I'm hoping that she's going to improve because I think it'll help her on all surfaces, but especially Grass as well. And I've seen she's been trying to come to the net more, in some matches, but it just still doesn't look. It looks almost like a good comparison. I think is her and Medvedev. I feel like they come forward, um, they just don't quite look supernatural and at
No.
home in the forecourt. In terms of then who impressed you the most, I guess apart from Jabeur and Vondrousova, they made the final. I mean, who impressed you as a standout player in terms of level and also their run as well?
I'd say Svitolina was really impressive. I mean, obviously there were signs at Roland Garros. She won a title before then, but she's really kind of reinvented herself, and she's got seemingly a new outlook, just flattening out the ball more, hitting bigger on the forehand side in particular. But I also think she still looks very athletic, and she's able to move extremely well and grind like she used to. So I feel like now she has both games. I mean, you think about that tiebreak with Azarenka, some of the long rallies, the tough rallies that she was able to get through. So she still has that side of her game. But I think on top of that, like she's just much more willing to take a really big cut on her forehand and do that kind of quick damage. So obviously, we're not counting Vondrousova here because we already talked about her. Yeah, it would be Svitolina, and then it would be Andreeva continues to be awesome. I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah, she's coming through, isn't she? She's going to be incredible. I'm really hoping she stays fit. And she was saying, she has a few things to work out in terms of being more patient and maturing, and that's going to happen. It's going to happen with time anyway. She's so young, but talent is incredible. So, I mean, it's such a great story. I'm looking forward to seeing her in the US Open series as well coming up. She's such an incredible talent. Um, who disappointed you the most then from the WTA side? Who kind of let you down a little bit, or you're surprised at in terms of results?
Well, first of all, shout out to Bencic, who usually uh, kills me with Wimbledon because she plays so great on the grass, and then I say I think she's going to do awesome at Wimbledon, and then she loses in the first round. So big run for Bencic to the fourth round. I'm
she
happy
she
that
she very close to being eager as well. She was not
yes,
far
that too. She was awesome, which she should be on grass. I mean it's
her
about time.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, who who got upset here? If you can, I
Well,
mean,
Zachary got upset, but that's been happening a lot though. To be fair,
that has been happening a lot. I mean, I'm not all that into the skill set on grass either.
Yeah,
I
agreed.
I think the women, similar to the men, did a pretty nice job of at least the top guns did a pretty nice job of coming through.
Yeah, yeah. Coco Golf
I,
maybe.
Coco, I mean, yeah, that's a good one. It was, maybe the highlight of the first 2 days of the tournament, that match with Kenin. You could almost see it coming, though. I mean, Coco's just looked a tad vulnerable. You know how dangerous Kenin is, and Sonia just smoked everybody in qualifying, including
Yeah,
Taylor Townsend, which was a really good win in qualifying. So even coming into that match, I was thinking, Coco might lose that. So not a. It is a big disappointment, though, even despite that, because she is someone at this stage in I don't want to say at this stage in her career because she's still so young, but based on kind of what she's done in the past years, you still do expect her to make a second week, when she enters a major.
yeah, no, 100%. And also because I think going into, I know Sophia Kenin was playing really good tennis, but her results at Wimbledon were nothing special. I mean, she'd only won a few matches at Wimbledon. So the fact that
Yeah.
she beat Goff was a really impressive victory, for sure. And shame for Coco Goff and Caroline Garcia. I was hoping she was going to rediscover some form and on the
Yeah.
grass and
It's just
just
been tough.
yeah, it's been really tough for her, hasn't it? She looked decent in the warm up events, and then look, she got some decent wins. Volionets and then Fernandez was a really good match. It's final set tiebreaker, but Buskova's a seed, and there's a three set of like three very tight sets. So I'm hoping she can just kind of take some momentum from that. And she's got such a great attacking game, so I'm hoping that she's able to show some more of what she's about, and find a bit of form. Uh, is there anything you want to touch upon on the WTA side before we can wrap up?
No, just no.
No problem at all.
I
No,
was gonna
thanks.
let's shout out Zhang Shuai. We're with you. We
Oh yeah.
stand with you.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Cool. Okay. Thanks very much, Gill. Appreciated as always for being on the channel. Guys, if you haven't done so already, which I'm sure you have, go and check out Gill on YouTube and also on Twitter as well, where he's very active and some great insights there. Uh, guys, as well, also remember to that like button, subscribe if you're new, and we will have also some more post Wimbledon content coming up this week. And then that's it. Done. We're done. No more grass court. We're going to go head first into US Open Series and start looking at towards that. So I'm sure you must be doing a lot of content for that, not just on the channel, but for Tennis Channel, right? And
Yeah.
also it's your time zone, which is great.
Yes. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Watching tennis at night is always different. It feels weird, And so tennis is always a morning thing the whole year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll be a nice change. And then yeah, I know I can say right now I'm calling Cincinnati on T2. So if you're a US viewer, you can look forward to that.
Oh, very nice. Like it. Cool. That should be really good. Guys, right, we'll wrap up there. Thank you very much and speak very, very soon. Thanks, Gil, again. And we'll speak soon as well. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.